Hi guys, on the 2nd of April, the Chinese space station Tiangong-1 Heavenly Palace of the Great Red Dragon came crashing down. There's obviously some skepticism about whether that was a real event or not, but I'm not focusing on whether it was real or not, just the symbolism that was conveyed and the messaging and the symbolism that was placed in front of us for us to see. Now, after that, the Google Doodle that was shown yesterday had a reference to a locust, which obviously connects with the Bible. They had a reference to clocks, which references time, and it had a reference to this person who created the marine chronographer. Yeah, that's it, something like that. But basically, a reference to water and time. I mentioned before, obviously, it's in the Bible how when the great dragon comes down, the next thing that he does after realizing he's been sent down to the earth and the woman has been taken into safety, given the two wings of a great eagle, is he sends the river forth. He spews forth water. In that reference, I'm interpreting that as a tsunami. So I think today's Google Doodle continues in that kind of chain. I think this poem that Dr. Maya Angelou's wrote, they are using it in their Google Doodle to celebrate her 90th birthday. Now, obviously, they could have used a number of different people. They could have celebrated a number of different things, but they chose this one. And this obviously comes 2 days after the Great Dragon touched down. Then the last Google Doodle was a reference to water and time. Now, I think this is a message from the devil, Satan, Lucifer, to us and to God, because
still
one of the first things that they mention and talk about,
rise. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust, I'll rise.
So the first thing they talk about is this reference to being trodden in the dust, being trodden in the dirt, but like dust, I'll rise. And I think that connects with Genesis, the part in the Garden of Eden where God said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, thou cursed above all cattle and above every beast of the field. Upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. So when it says, I don't know if it can go back.
Does my sassiness upset you?
Let me refresh it.
Still I rise.
So when it says this,
you may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt.
So imagine if this message was coming from the serpent, coming from the snake, the devil, Lucifer, Satan, whatever you want to call him. Just imagine that this message is coming from that side. It's a kind of a reference to, you may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. The devil is the king of all liars, but to these people that follow him, they believe that he's been misinterpreted, we put it in a nice way. And I think that's the kind of message that they're saying here. You may write me down in history, or you may write me down in the Bible with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt. As the Lord said, we will step upon the serpent's head, and he will strike our heel, and the serpent will eat the dust and crawl upon it.
But still like dust, I'll rise.
But it's suggesting that still like dust, like the very dust that the Lord said the serpent would eat, I'll rise.
Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom?
And as I said, just think of it in a reference of it coming from the other side as a message to us, and like a kind of direct message to the Lord, God.
It's because I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room.
Just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hopes springing high, still I rise.
Did you want to see me broken, bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries?
Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't take it awful hard. Just 'cause I laugh, as if I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard.
You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness. But still, like life, I'll rise.
Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance as if I have diamonds at the meeting of my thighs?
Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past, rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide.
Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise into a daybreak miraculously clear. I rise, bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the hope and the dream of the slave, and so I rise. I rise. I rise.
So there you have it. I think that is what they're conveying. It's a manipulated poem taken to convey a message, because all the words, they kind of reference a history of rising up out of pain and whatever. And I've noticed in a lot of these TV shows nowadays where they kind of brazenly put characters in there, like Lucifer, for example, the TV show, or in Supernatural, for example, they have a character who plays Lucifer in that one as well. They try and paint the devil as misinterpreted, as innocent, misunderstood, that is completely in opposition to what we're told in the Bible, that the devil is the king of all liars. And we know that these people that follow him are placed in high places, as we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but, powers and wickedness, spirituality in high places. And they have, amassed themselves across the media, across the companies, the messages that they use in their advertising is just all, subliminal messaging kind of directed towards their worship of the beast, Satan. They do it with the all-seeing eye, the triangle, the mocking tongue, the 666, the devil horns. All of it is, just symbolism for their loyalty and commitment to the cause that they've signed up to. Whether they knowingly do what they do, or whether they're manipulated by their handlers or, by their agents. Because, not all artists are in control of, every aspect of their creativity, but people like Jay-Z, Beyonce, they are, and they knowingly participate in these rituals, they knowingly participate in the symbolism, and it's all conveyed to us. At the end of the day, most of the world is still sleeping, so when you see these people going to these concerts and doing the the triangle and stuff like that, and reaching out their hands towards these people that have now become their idols, it's all satanic worship. So we're kind of, I want to say on the back foot, but until the Lord comes, the devil kind of has free reign on this earth. Thank God his time is short, but I think that time began from that symbolic touching down of the great dragon, which they called Heavenly Palace, Tiangong 1. And as the days go on, I think we'll see things progressively get worse. Now, April the 3rd has passed for me. There's still a couple of hours to go, around the rest of the world. So, I'm not going to cut myself off just yet. But, April the 18th now has a lot of significance. I've already pointed out all the various things going on April the 18th. If you want a quick recap, you've got Trump and Shinzo Abe, the Japanese Prime Minister, meeting at Mar-a-Lago. You've got the US and South Korea doing their key resolve exercise towards that time. You've got South Korea and North Korea preparing to meet for the later meeting on April the 27th. You've got the 2-year anniversary of when they erected the Arch of Baal, or the Palmyra Arch, in the centre of London in Trafalgar Square. And you've got the Day of Military Glory for Russia, which they'll be celebrating, Yom HaZikaron, which is the Memorial Day for fallen soldiers of Israel. The very next day is Israel's Independence Day. However, they'll be doing celebrations on April the 18th. A lot of things to do with 70 celebrations in New York as well, connections to the Statue of Liberty and the Star of David scene that we see in the iPet Goat video, possible reference to that. The creepy voicemail that was going around with this guy on Twitter referencing April the 18th. I don't know if it's a hoax or not, but just another reference to April the 18th there. So a lot of things going on there, along with all the other signs that have been shown in the last couple of days, and this message that I think has been conveyed from the other side to us and to God in direct rebellion to God. It's kind of like the devil's been cast down to like a snake to crawl in the dust on its belly, to eat the dust. And the suggestion from this message is, like dust, I'll rise, and then at the end 3 times, I rise, I rise, I rise, and then this constant glowing symbol here, which obviously you could reference as a sunset, but more it looks like the image of a nuclear explosion. So that's what I wanted to bring to you guys today. Whether I'm right or wrong, it's all remains to be seen at the end of the day. There's a lot of different interpretations out there, which I encourage people to go and do research and come to your own conclusions. At the end of the day, I'm not trying to force anyone to follow, just trying to bring some analysis to the things that I see, and I appreciate the fact that you guys take the time to watch and comment. So with that, have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and God bless.